Welcome to our Shield of the Sun video where we will be talking about Illuminati families, and we'll be talking about exposing Illuminati families. So what is an Illuminati family? First of all, to be within the Illuminati, you have to understand what that word is. It's basically to say rulers, politicians, people of a certain bloodline of a ruling hierarchy family. And many of these hierarchy families have branch families where they're like the children of affairs or children that were born into a lower rank in society, but they are blood related to the ruling hierarchy. So to say Illuminati is to say basically the ruling elite. Kings, queens, prime ministers, presidents, senators, governors, people of influence. And many people of this nature are very much Illuminati families. This isn't to say every politician, but most of them. In fact, all of them are related in one form or another. You do have certain ruling families are very rare, and people of these branch families that are Christians, and they're not involved in the magical elements of their relatives. So this totally excludes them. But you have many that are perpetrating this evil, and they call themselves Illuminati. This is a name that Satan gave them. And so this describes basically these elitists. And these elitists make about 10% of the population, by the way. That means most people are not in the Illuminati. Most people are just average Joes working under a system of whatever government they're living in, working jobs, paying bills, and trying to survive. And so what we have basically with these elitists is that they get involved in certain mind control programs, and they get involved in doctrinal training, and they get involved in government secrets, and many of them work either in the inner core things or in the outer core things. Many of them are leaders of lodges, leaders of secret societies, and that's how they recruit in. Now, when they recruit people into the Illuminati, what they're looking for are people with a certain bloodline, people who have relation to them. Meaning there are people who are related to the Illuminati and don't even know it. Meaning they're related to the ruling elite families and they have no idea that they are. And so many of them get recruited through a lot of ways because what they want to do is try to corrupt them first to those ways, which makes it a lot easier to then suck them down in. And so what we have basically is that these families live a day and a night life. And to understand it, in the day, many of them pose as Christians, many of them pose as pious people, many of them pose as kind people. They will present morals, they won't watch violent movies, are very astute, very pious, and they don't swear, don't curse, don't drink, don't use drugs in the day. But at night, it's a different story. Many of them are deeply demonically possessed, so they have what is known as a twofold personality, a dual personality. Some have more than a dual personality. In the day, the personality has to be upright, sensible, a citizen, a person who is presentable, a person who is moral. But at night, it changes. When they go among themselves or among their inner core or within their groups of secret societies, when they meet up, and when they practice rituals at home, their true self comes out, where they're cursing, they're swearing, they're committing adultery, fornication, even murder, worshiping Satan, conjuring demons. They show a whole other personality. And so how do we catch this, by the way? Well, a lot of Illuminati families have generational curses, so there'll always be a sign there to kind of catch it. For all this pious activity, many of their sons and daughters could be sexually immoral, to the point where they really don't have much conscience about who they give their body to, this while going to church. Many of them show signs of greed and racism. Many of them will hate other cultures, have very negative views of other cultures, and see their own culture as being superior, being nice while they want to explain that to you. That's very much a sign of a generational curse, and is very much of a sign of Illuminati programming. Another sign is that Illuminatiists, sometimes 2 to 3 times a week, they go to secret meetings. These meetings take place from midnight to 4 a.m. Many of these meetings are done at military installations, at secret places. Many of these meetings are done in secret buildings, factories, warehouses, places that are very isolated, places that are very secured off. And many of these places have known as road points, where they're stopping at certain checkpoints. to basically learn where they must go, because this prevents anybody from interrupting one of their meeting places. And when they go there, this is where they practice rituals. A lot of these places are in lodges. A lot of these places are in secret society lodges. And so this is also an indicator to see. Basically, it occurs very late at night where most people are sleeping. And so they're banking on most people not seeing them. They leave very quietly in a very quiet way where they don't draw notice, and they're very careful about who's watching them as they're leaving. And another indicator to spot basically are basically erratic behavior in a lot of these people, because in a dual personality, sometimes their behavior will catch the better of them. So many of them will display a certain character that is not quite in line with what they often show you. This character has a lot to do with backstabbing, talking maliciously to the point where they're seeking to destroy someone's blessings, maybe destroy a marriage, or maybe destroy a job opportunity, maybe destroy when your family has been reunited under some hard circumstances. They have ways to kind of just subtly put something into your mind to make you think otherwise, to manipulate you, and to get into your life basically. Now keep in mind this is 10%, so that means most people are not trying to do this. But if you are encountering this, this is an indication of either a coven member or a member of the Illuminati. And so many of them are, doing these type of actions because Satan wants them to do his job. So even in the day, sometimes they have to be evil because there's something going on that they have to disrupt. Many of them are involved in white-collar crimes, by the way. Many of them are involved with abuse. And so what we have with these families are oftentimes children are either mentally or physically abused, or both. Sometimes they're molested by their parents. Oftentimes this happens, by the way. In fact, hardcore generational Illuminati families molest their children. This is no joke. They do this to them to break their spirit, and to give them a type of lustful spirituality. They teach them that this is an act of love when it's rape. And so they teach them that having racist superiority views is their responsibility and their duty. It's not. It's just a form to harbor murder so that they're able to commit real murder later on. And so these generational Illuminati families have deep generational curses. And so we know that the devil transforms into an angel of light to appear as somebody that is good, as somebody that is kind, somebody that has the answers, while he's abusing you and using you and saying that this is for your good. This is how Illuminati families think of their actions. Many of them are convinced by the time they become adults, when all their programming and training is over, that what they're doing is for the good of humanity, and that it's for the overall good, and that one day they'll be called heroes. They're not. Throughout every generation, their actions have only brought their nations down. It has only caused destruction on their nations and their families, and they eventually get themselves killed, where Satan just raises another generation, teaches them the same lies by blinding them from history, and they're back making the same mistakes all over again. Many Illuminati families are in such powerful positions that they have a responsibility to help people, but you're not seeing them do that. They have a responsibility to teach the Word of God to the masses, and not to promote racism and infidelity and greed and lust and power, and to worship money over God. This is the main core of Illuminati worship. It's just the worship of power, money, and greed. This is the core of who they are. They see everything with a dollar sign on it. They see everything with a flash and a glitz and glamour. Everything is not about good morals, or treating other people right, or working in the society as an honest man or a woman. It's about cutting ahead of people. It's about destroying people. It's about putting ridiculous standards over people that they themselves don't even live by. So many Illuminati families are deep hypocrites. And so you have to very much look at that. Jesus very much exposed them right, because the Pharisees and the Sadducees were an early form of Illuminatiism. Basically, they were sold out to the Romans. They were greedy. They were selfish. They weren't even teaching the Mosaic law properly. They were even making things up. And so this is how bad they got, that they had these ridiculous high standards that they themselves weren't even living by. And Jesus basically flat out told them that you're a pack of hypocrites and that you're hurting the people. And this is the same with these ruling families. They don't live by their standards. They don't even understand what their standards are. They're just living by a script. You know, it's all pre-written. It's all just arranged. Answers and questions and how to just live on the outside, but to have nothing on the inside. Because on the inside is deep possession. On the inside is deep doctrinal beliefs that are diluted and sick. On the inside is just a lot of hatred. It's a lot of greed. It's a lot of vanity. Illuminati families worship vanity. They worship pride. This is the essence of money, because money represents that. Pride, vanity, power. So this is what they're all about. So when you're seeing families that are all about this, they're all about looks, they're all about money, they're all about vanity, they're all about what looks good, what looks pious, and they take this into churches, they take this into schools, they take this into their homes, they take this into the community, they take this into the government. These are strong indicators that these are satanic families, that these are Luciferian Satanism families, however they want to call it, because they try to differentiate themselves from other secret societies. You know, those are the black magic Satanists, but we're the white magic good Luciferians, and we're trying to help people. When at the end of the day, they're only helping themselves, and helping themselves at a human cost. Meaning people are dying over their pride. They're dying over their vanity. They're dying over their infidelity. They're dying over their greed. A lot of people are paying a price for dealing with them because they don't know the animal that they're facing. Their deception runs very, very well. These people aren't just good liars, but like their father, they're very excellent liars. They back up lies with character. They use a lot of emotion, a lot of mind manipulation and psychological tactics when they lie to people, because they want their lies to be as convincing as possible and to try to know as much about you as they can, to try to use your pain or emotions against you. Because in their mind, they have seared their emotions. They have seared their conscience. They have been cleansed of all the weaknesses, as they want to call this. Many of them achieve what is known as a third eye doctrine. And in this third eye doctrine is when basically Lucifer pours his burning awful light into their brain. And by the end of this type of possession, they believe they have a third eye. And in this mindset, they see human beings or their brothers and sisters like ants. They see everybody as inferior, as people to step on, as people to walk over, as people who don't mean anything to them. And they're very driven by this. They're very hardcore about this, to such a point that this would induce them to murder, induce them to a lot of different things. A lot of Illuminati families are blood drinkers. A lot of them use rituals like this because they believe that by drinking blood induces power. It doesn't. It just causes more possession and more addictions, to where it's basically like a drug addict. You know, they're addicted to drinking blood as someone is addicted to snorting cocaine. Drug use, by the way, is very prominent among Illuminati families. In the day, they don't use drugs. Their house will be clear of paraphernalia, clear of these things. You won't even catch any signs of it. But at night, when they get together, many drugs are used. Many kind of ritual ceremonies are done. And one of the major aspects about Illuminati families is that they never talk about the night and the day. It's a strict, strict rule. They never talk about it. And many times they're so possessed by what they're doing at night that usually in the morning, much of their programming and the way they've been taught to think, they conveniently forget who they are and what they did at night to continue to perpetrate this character during the day. Many of them are not faithful to their husbands or wives. That's just not the way they are. They're trained to be very loose with their bodies, to engage in open orgies, and to do these things with their other neighbors, while during the day they're playing a happy married couple. And this is the core of Illuminati families, and these are signs to identify them and to be very, very careful with them. Because if you're living under their roof in some way and you're not knowing about their night practices, I suggest you get out of there. But if you are an Illuminati family, you need to start repenting. You need to go with God to lift these generational curses and to use your gifts and influence to help humanity and not to perpetrate its own destruction and perpetrate the destruction of your own family. God bless you all and good night.